Hey everyone, the Black Queen here, that episode of Queen Reacts, and today we are getting to a long one today. It was a long one, the video I just did before, so I've been up for a while. This is the r/place Brony deep dive, My Little Pony's story of survival. Now, this is something that I was directly involved in. And I believe I was involved on the first day to the last day, I think. But I might have missed a few days. I don't know. But yeah, for those who don't know, r/place was a Reddit event. I'm not on Reddit that much, but I knew it was going on, so I quickly hopped on board. And it was a whole thing where everyone puts like a pixel onto a canvas, and you have like 15 minutes before you can add another pixel. Actually, I think in this case it was just 5 minutes. But yeah, you could add a pixel, and then you could add on top of someone else's pixel. And how this would work is that big communities would get together and then start making designs on the canvas like right away. So yeah, it had a lot of interesting designs on it, and we, the Bronies, had a lot on that canvas. So he's gonna go more in depth in that than I am. But I was a part of this. I doubt I'm gonna be on this video, cause but like it was on the main chat where I was until I got banned from it for some reason. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Let's get right into this. 3, 2, 1.
We're going to dive into the world's most advanced social experiment, MMORTS, with millions of players and thousands of factions, both big and small.
Who here placed even a single pixel? Yeah! Nice!
And the whole thing was squeezed into just 4 crazy days. This event also got the attention of some of the most powerful players of all.
Yep.
Twitch streamers.
Take over the Bronies, eliminate them.
What are we, Xerxes' army, and we're losing to the Spartans?
We have allied with the Bronies.
People wonder why the Bronies get so much. They can't even just
this
like
is the
play
second
a
video
game
he's done, by the way.
normally.
In r/place, users place a single pixel every 5 minutes, but any other user could also do the same. So drawing anything meaningful requires a huge amount of dedication, if you don't have tens of thousands of people doing whatever you command, that is. If this video is already tasting salty, you'll soon understand why. The first event was in 2017.
Yeah.
5 years later, in 2022, they brought it back.
We are the Broners.
With lots of unexpected surprises. What makes r/place so interesting is the way it forces people to work together if you want to do anything more than just place random dots. This forms factions and groups, which can then make peace or make war with others. The sheer scale and complexity of the event surely makes it one of the most fascinating things to ever happen on the entire internet. And I can't wait to share the adventure with you. Many thousands of factions and many millions of people participated, but today we're going to do a deep dive on one group in particular. This video will document the Brony factions on r/place. That's right, Brony factions, plural. More on that later. Many have done overviews of r/place, and you've probably seen some of the funny time lapses, but I'm confident
Canada's
sharing my
flag
personal
never
experience with
got
just one relatively small community will make for a really interesting story and highlight some of the best and the worst of r/place. Drop a comment below if you have your own stories.
It became a meme
let's
that
dive in.
Canada's flag
March
was
20th,
not able to sustain itself.
noon Eastern Time. Reddit drops the bombshell announcement that r/place is returning after 5 years. Many question whether this is just a joke, since the event does take place April 1st after all. However, the dedicated veterans of 2017, like myself, had no choice but to take it seriously and make preparations just in case. My journey began by going back to the Brony home of r/place, main chat's Discord server. It was here that Bronies gathered and coordinated plans for the 2017 event. Initially, I was concerned. The chat channel was rather quiet. Only a handful of Bronies, including myself, showed up. We would need many hundreds of soldiers to stand any chance of victory. Regardless, we started discussing art proposals. Over the next couple days, main chat moderators would collect these proposals and set up a poll to vote on. One of the first challenges faced was the uncertainty of what the color palette would even be. At first, we assumed it would be the same colors from 5 years ago, but Reddit's marketing material included new colors. But regardless of colors, which design should we settle upon? Many great pixel pony artworks were proposed, but myself and many others from the previous event knew it wouldn't be right to go with any pony but Rainbow Dash. Sleeping Dashie was the pony we fought so hard to protect 5 years prior, and what could be better than the iconic Salute meme from Season 1's Dragonshy episode? Sigmith Bits was the one who first made the art of Salute Dashie. Myself and many other members of the group worked together to refine the template and also combine it with another art proposal, the Elements of Harmony book. For those who don't know, this book served as a bookend for the entirety of the cartoon. The takeaway for any non-Bronies watching is that this art has a lot of significance to us. The runner-up in the polls was also a strong contender. It was a mural of the next generation's Unity crystals,
Yes.
surrounded by all of the main characters from both
I
G4
love that
and
one.
G5. Naturally, this pixel art had a lot of support, but resources were limited, and the expectation was that there was no way we could possibly build both. We'd be lucky to build just one at all, right? Personally, my support was with Salute Dashi. Combined with the book, she was modular in the sense that we could focus on her upper half, then her lower half with the text, and then the book, all as separate tactical segments. Not to mention, a pony meme from Season 1 was definitely the most recognizable to longtime bronies to more easily rally the troops. So there you have it. Dashi's first battle began before the event even started. Team Salute Dashi on one side and Team G5 Crystal on the other.
Who's with me?
The first few minutes of the event would be critical, especially for bronies. We wanted to be known as a friendly and peaceful faction. For that reason, we needed to claim space as quickly as possible to avoid stepping on anyone's toes or declaring outright war with another group.
Yep.
Not only are we unlikely to survive such a conflict,
So I wasn't
but
here
remaining
this
peaceful was
early
largely
yet.
the primary goal. There were multiple early pixel placement strategies. One idea was to simply use a ruler and photo editing software and find those coordinates manually. Another was to carefully designate border pixels and assign each one to specific people. One main chat mod even developed a JavaScript user interface to make things easier for the average participant. The event hadn't even begun yet, and we were already seeing a big change from the 2017 event. Back then, bronies had a couple smart people working behind the scenes to provide just one template for everyone to follow, and already in 2022, we saw an increase of leaders taking charge and rallying troops behind different strategies and different art. I suppose it's safe to say I became one of those early leaders. I was a big supporter of Salute Dashi, and I also took the liberty of maintaining her template and making updates as changes were discussed. Another public brony figure was Singlehoof, known for live streaming the event for almost 40 hours.
This is the plan, guys. We're gonna construct a black border around the Dashi. So this is my prediction, that there's gonna be a huge
Sus.
Ukrainian flag stretching from the left side of the board to the right side of the board. I do believe that. Who would dare to attack the Ukrainian flag in a time like this? General Little Shy FIM.
Singlehoof isn't the only one to stream the events of r/plays, but we'll get to that soon
Yep.
enough. Alliances were already being formed. Contact was made with a Russian brony group by the name of My Little Pony Pixel, or MLPP for short. These Pixel War veterans were very experienced from Russian social media's own version of r/plays.
Oh.
They already had their own plans,
know
their
that.
own allies, and their own derpy template ready to go. Communication was difficult, as there were only a couple Russian contacts to translate for us, but MLPP was an obvious ally to welcome aboard. The language barrier would cause some complications later on, but we'll get to that soon enough as well. Because MLPP already seemed so prepared, we actually followed their lead and agreed to put our art next to their derpy. Who could have guessed one of our first allies would have actually been a whole separate brony subfaction, and not to mention one just as eager and possibly even more experienced than us. Another important early ally was Five Nights at Freddy's. By comparison, they were a much smaller faction, but bronies were happy to form alliances with anyone we could. Little did we know, this small group would serve a crucial role for the brony faction, and Five Nights at Freddy's would go on to accomplish
That's where the
great things.
That's what the
Already,
Ukrainian
we had multiple
the
allies and
flag
lines
was
of
supposed to be.
communication with other
Or
groups.
that was going to
we
be.
had a detailed plan to coordinate with multiple other factions, and we had methods of pixel placement prepared long in advance. We were even feeling confident enough to consider very ambitious stretch goals. I myself proposed the idea of opening the book and changing its contents over time to appear animated in time lapses. Spirits were high. Bronies flocked to Pixel Canvas to practice our strategies and our art. We discussed and reminisced over some of the factions from 2017 and how we might work with them or defend against them. We strongly considered every possibility, every strategy, every diplomatic approach, yet no one expected what awaited for us the next morning. We were about to go head-to-head with the largest hostile factions on all of r/place. Day 1, 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Here we go.
r/place is set to open, but the sub remains closed.
r/play starts. Let's refresh the page. Is it open? Not yet.
Was it all just a prank? Did we just fall for the most cruel April Fool's joke to ever take place? No pun intended.
Okay, I'm gonna refresh it again.
Place.
Let me in.
Let me in! Let me in!
No, because 4 minutes later, the glorious canvas appeared.
Oh, it's loading, it's loading. Here we go. Here we fucking go.
There we go.
Oh, it's starting. Yes! Look at it. It's beautiful.
Knowing it would soon be covered with pixels, seeing the blank white canvas was a sight to behold. Bronies wasted no time placing our pixels.
You can clearly see
Our
the Rainbow Dash
pixels.
outline right now. Like, if you zoom all the way out, it's there. It's in a good place.
Focus was on Dashi's outline in order to make it clear to other groups that this territory was spoken for. As the border was completed, colors began to fill in. Our allies also took shape. MLPP's Derpy was momentarily flipped by mistake, turning her
Yeah.
gear into what started to look like a rocket ship.
Dashi is starting to take shape. Look at everyone who is here right now is part of history.
There were only a few large and well-prepared factions already on the canvas, and Bronies were proud to share in that honor. However, to the distant west, an unexpected enemy was forming. Everyone knew the Ukraine flag would make an appearance due to current events, but the flag had already grown to a size unlike anyone could have imagined. It was huge, and it was rapidly spreading across the canvas, showing no
We had to
remorse
move it
and no
north.
consideration for the early pixel art in its path. Dashi was directly in that path, but we were clearly established at this point, so surely the flag would go under us, right? The
Nope.
general consensus was disbelief that the flag would be hostile. In fact, many Bronies eagerly awaited its arrival so that Dashi may have a suitable friend to salute. As the flag approached, that optimism would quickly turn to dread.
Yeah.
Ukraine, T-minus 5 minutes. Ukraine is slowly creeping in.
The rainbow and trans flag failed to hold it back. Yellow pixels began to vandalize Dashi. Focus returned to our borders, as well as drawing yellow pixels outside of them to send a message to the approaching behemoth of our desire to be friends. The message was not received. Construction of the book had to be halted, as all Bronies responded to the front lines to defend Dashi from the hostile invasion. Ironic, isn't it? This was a critical turning point. Most factions
Oh,
retreated with the hope of finding
I just got
unclaimed
that.
territory, but myself personally, and a lot of other Bronies, wanted to play the long game here. Flags like the Ukraine one are largely propelled by casual users. Pixel art, like our own, has round-the-clock backing from a dedicated community who had spent days preparing to take this specific territory. Retreating would fragment our plans and be a sign of weakness which could inspire other aggressors. Also, holding one spot makes for really cool time lapses. We would stand our ground. Brony diplomats rushed to make contact with the Ukraine flag, only to confirm our worst fears that the real Ukraine groups had no control of this thing. It was an out-of-control bandwagon faction.
Yep.
Memes quickly spread of the flag's dominance. Even Dashi became a place legend for having her head cut off. Outsiders not familiar with the history of the canvas saw Bronies attacking the flag, and not the other way around. Therefore, Bronies were faced with yet another unexpected enemy, Twitter politics. Yay.
Wow.
Place Hearts also returned from 2017, and while they were typically a friendly faction that supported art, they also happened to be forming to our west.
Tiny TARDIS.
Bandwagoners from the Ukraine flag hijacked the Hearts and used them as yet another front to attack Dashi. I haven't even mentioned it yet, but the infamous Void was also forming next to Dashi, and we had to
Oh,
fight
yeah,
off their
that's right, yeah.
tendrils as well. It was chaos. It seemed like everything was against us. Yet, Bronies held strong, defending Dashi's lower half.
I've never imagined.
This video is an
Ukraine
hour
being
long, so it's not- the
big
story's not
bad
over yet.
aggressor in this situation. I want to support Ukraine in every way I can, but it's such a huge flag. There should just be some art going over it. It shouldn't be a problem, right? Like this. But it looks like they're getting attacked too now. It's just on a warpath of destruction.
Tiny TARDIS was an ally from the 2017
Yep.
event, and they returned right there next to us during most of this struggle. They were also hijacked by bandwagoners who expanded the TARDIS many times its intended size. However, this had the possibly unintended effect of protecting us from void attacks, which was one very small reprieve during the onslaught against Dashi. It was brutal. Plays had only just begun, and we were already faced with the ultimate boss battle. Our forces were a meager couple hundred at this point. We had not a single clickbot. We were being attacked from multiple fronts, and all the while being berated for our tactic of holding our ground while everyone else had retreated. While the long game was to simply wait for flags to become friendly to art, many Bronies strategized plans which we could carry out sooner than that. The leading plan, largely pushed by myself, was to find a way to convince people that we do indeed support Ukraine, and we wish to salute their flag. It was a war of information as people continued to accuse us of aggression and insisted we move elsewhere. If we could overcome that misinformation and befriend the flag, that would be the ultimate victory. So, I sent out this idea on main chat. What if we change our text to the flag's colors? We tried and failed to send a diplomat simply because the mob had no leader, but maybe we could use the canvas itself to send a friendly message. People seemed to like the idea and immediately began to work on the text. This proved to be a fatal mistake. As people left the front lines to update the text, Dashi quickly fell to the ongoing Hearts attack, which again was largely thought to be the flag's doing. Rather than change our text to their colors, our text became a new Ukraine flag as the mob wrongly interpreted our friendly actions as an attack. Salute Dashi was defeated. It was a terrible, depressing blow. We had worked so hard preparing for this territory, days in advance, and we held out for so long that it actually looked like our plan of waiting out the flags could work. But thanks to the actions of largely one dumb YouTuber, Bronies lost our iconic place mascot. But it wasn't over. MLPP had successfully relocated Derpy to a new location. With the fall of Dashi, Bronies once again became united in support of the last remaining pony on the canvas. So yes, that's right. We were invaded by Ukraine and saved by the Russian Bronies.
There's one
Only
thing
on
I will
r/slash
say.
place. We were all disappointed by the loss of Dashie.
It comes
but
later.
as many of
never
you
mind.
probably know,
It'll come
Derpy
later.
is my favorite pony, and she was always a mascot of the Bronies in general, so we were happy to defend her and keep the pony presence alive on place. Then, just a few minutes later, this happened.
Dude, okay, here's what we do. We take,
Fucking, I forget his name.
found our targets.
Miskev, right?
We found our fucking targets. Oh, we found our fucking targets right here. Yup, right here. Found them. Done. GG. Destroy the Bronies. Yup, there it is. Take them. I don't care if I have to fucking non-stop put this up on my screen until you guys finish it.
The fucking
Take over
man-child
the Bronies.
himself.
Eliminate them. I don't care. Destroy the Bronies.
The Twitch Bully had 40,000 viewers at the time. Bronies only numbered a couple hundred, maybe a few hundred, including our allies. The point is, we didn't stand a chance. All hope was lost for Bronies. Not only were we attacked by the largest and most overbearing faction on the entire canvas, but we had a new kind of enemy to contend with. Twitch bullies who saw Brony hunting as a game to entertain their viewers. We had lost. There were no ponies on r/place. It was only day one, and despite our valiant efforts, we were crushed.
We need more manpower.
Forget the
Yeah,
one at the
just
mountain
because
mainland.
we only have like
Defend it, people.
50 of
I'm
us
getting
in
off
this
map.
hub.
Then, a glimmer of light sparked at the location where Dashie had fallen. It was a pink glimmer of light, to be more specific, because tiny pixel pinkies were appearing. Turns out, the Five Nights at Freddy's ally was showing their support for us at our darkest moment by building these tiny ponies where Dashie had fallen. This is what r/place is all about. This is what Bronies are all about. Even though we were defeated, friendship prevailed. FNAF kept the pony spirit alive while also defending their own territory. It wasn't over yet. Bronies frantically discussed new strategies. Diplomats were sent out in search of a larger ally to accept us, and all the while, MLPP began to carry out their own plan. They would rebuild Derpy on top of the Osu logo. Osu is probably the most resilient and most famous faction on
that
r/place.
would not have
They're known for standing strong and
worked.
fighting off massive attacks. A Void attack had just recently wiped them and their northern borders. MLPP saw this as the perfect opportunity for Derpy to befriend them. But as Derpy was slowly being constructed above Osu,
Oh, dude, the Bronies are forming above Osu. I just heard from my general. Dude, can we please just knock out this conglomerate of people and make a forward?
after not one, not two, but 3 brutal defeats, combined with my own sense of failure that I had personally let the Bronies down, I was not feeling very well to say the least. I looked down at my hands and noticed they were shaking. I hadn't slept much the previous night. I looked back at my screen and realized I had been sitting here for 8 hours straight without ever getting up to eat, to use the bathroom, or to stretch my legs. What was I doing with my life? I was prioritizing some internet game above my own health and well-being. Being part of this community means everything to me, and in this moment, I failed that community. I led Bronies astray with my insistence of a tactic no one else on all of Place was dumb enough to try. I was so certain we could make a comeback if only we held on to the original territory. For the first time in 8 hours, I stood up and walked away to make a sandwich. I was feeling too nauseous to eat, so I went for a walk to clear my thoughts, to touch grass, as the kids say.
touch
As I walked
grass.
solemnly down the street, I could only ask myself, what did I learn from this experience?
I didn't learn anything. I was right all along.
Dashie was slowly returning to her original location, and soon saluted as proudly as ever. Pretty much all of Place was angry at flags for taking up so much space.
Yep.
And the Void itself goes on the offensive against the Ukraine flag. While Bronies didn't condone attacking the flag, it did signal a shift in the tides of r/place, exactly as predicted. Flags would have to accept pixel art, or become the enemy of all. The Void was the primary enemy of Bronies in the 2017 event, but now, they enabled us to slowly reclaim Dashie's territory. The location had largely been preserved by Five Nights at Freddy's pixel punks. However, there was a new faction there to contend with. A few months prior to the event, the author of the Berserk manga passed away. Its community also wanted to make their mark on the canvas, and they chose to do so by building a memorial
This is
around the same
Asmongold,
time as
isn't it?
Dashie's return. Bronies could have easily crushed the memorial and restored Salute Dashie back to 100%, but that wouldn't be in the spirit of friendship, would it? Instead, we chose to form an alliance and give up some of our territory in support of the memorial. It was one of many factions we were friendly with, and Dashie was proud to rebuild with the memorial's support. Sure, we had to give up Dashie's lower half, but it was worth it to return to our original spot and to make a new friend. Meanwhile, Rainbow Road also managed to break through and claim their own territory on the flag.
it's gonna
it
go
was a very
south in
happy
just a
coincidence
second.
that Rainbow Road reflected through Rainbow Dash's spot. By this point, Bronies were flooding into main chat. As Bronies poured into the Discord server, problems became apparent. Main chat mods worked very hard throughout the chaotic event. They devoted huge amounts of time and effort to organize the Bronies and to work with other factions. However, main chat's moderation techniques dealt with unpleasant spam and raids with often similarly unpleasant strictness, banning discussion of Twitch streamers altogether. increasing slow mode until it became impossible to communicate, and even freezing the channel completely.
And banning me.
But there are
Pretty
two
much.
sides to every story. From what I could tell, main chat never asked for any of this. Most moderation problems probably could have been solved by recruiting temporary moderators and creating new topic-specific channels, but it's unfair to expect main chat to upend their entire community just for a surprise 4-day event. Of course, that means r/place activities on main chat had to be contained within one measly chat channel, which was obviously problematic and a moderation nightmare to keep under control. So although there was some drama along the way, this only proves that Bronies are still a huge community, and a community too large for just one Discord server at that. Dashy's return by the end of day 1 caused word to spread throughout the Brony community. Despite some division, Bronies were growing stronger. So strong, in fact, that even another nuke from the Twitch bully wasn't enough to dissuade us. If anything, it continued to rally the troops, especially as Dashy rebuilt yet again. The streamer soon got bored with us and went off to attack the furry community. Not only did Bronies lend some pixels to help the furries now that we had an enemy in common, but Dashy even got a compliment from an unexpected source.
I'm not a fan of the ponies. They've messed up.
Oh, that shit look kind of badass though, bro.
That's what I said.
What is going on here?
Please go look at it. Tell me that shit don't look good. It got the rainbow going behind it and shit.
I mean, I guess, like, am I in the wrong call?
How the fuck are you gonna like come at us for saying that they look good, but you like the furry shit?
Yeah, I really like the furry shit. That's why I just took it over and put a tryhard on it.
We knew it was just a matter of time before the streamer got bored with the furries and attacked us again. Dashy was attacked every time the streamer had us on screen, but compared to what we faced earlier, Bronies knew we could remain persistent and keep coming back. It would take a situation a lot more complicated than an unorganized bandwagon faction or Twitch griefers with short attention spans to actually take down Dashy, right? Surely it's all sunshine and roses from here. Yet again, little did we know what unexpected threat was in store for day 2.
Asmongold.
Right on cue, the Twitch bully returned, this time threatening Bronydom with a new tactic by hijacking the nearby
Okay, maybe
void.
not yet.
It is
still
really
waiting
hard
for-
going after these big-ass countries. Go in all force and attack the Bronies. Do it!
Stronger than our friendship.
They've touched, they've consumed. Do it! Destroy the Bronies right now.
Everything else, Rick.
Focus on the airlines. We're fighting this.
Ruin them.
It's not over yet. It's not well.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure we can expect this for the next 3 days.
Day 2 begins. I woke up to discover Dashy had not only returned, but absolutely thrived overnight. Dashy was saluting, MLPP had brought back Derpy, and Bronies were finally able to complete the Elements of Harmony book after being interrupted by the flag. Various pixel ponies appeared, including one dedicated individual going up against main chat to preserve his blue-coated OC from being taken over by Fluttershy. The OC would fail, but we'll see more of him later. Even the ponies text would return from the 2017 event. Once again, this served as a sponge for unorganized vandalism while the pony art remained almost pristine. Once the art itself was established, Bronies focused on the true game of r/place, and that's diplomacy. Tiny TARDIS joined us once again, along with many other small communities. The new Brony Diplomacy Discord steadily saw more and more activity. We even helped Ukraine restore their flag to art-friendly glory, along with countless other alliances.
And they actually promised us space on their flag if we would help defend against the void, which we did.
Not only were Bronies developing diplomacy, but also steadily developing other techniques and tools such as the minimap script. At this stage, it wasn't a full-on auto-clicker, but having an overlay definitely makes it easier for people to coordinate, and of course, it makes it much easier to recover from attacks. Most large factions had developed overlay tools by this point. In fact, thanks to our diplomacy and friendships, much of the code and art templates were already being shared around. It was increasingly looking like
Very
r/place was
hopeful,
going to
but
be
I
a
know
game
what's
of
coming.
passionate pixel art versus flags and Twitch streamers, and Bronies already won our own war against the flags. But then, all of r/place was shocked by a new development. Hey, was that second white canvas always there? And oh, would you look at that? There's new colors down there too.
Yep.
It is?
The expansion.
Oh my god! They updated the canvas! Holy shit, there's a second canvas!
The fun has been doubled!
That's right. Reddit surprised everyone by doubling the size of the canvas and adding more colors to the palette. Almost immediately, Pinkie Pie started to be built in unclaimed territory by Singlehoof and his own stream viewers.
It's gonna be weird seeing all these new colors. Look at
I
the
saw that
Pong
brown
it's almost
pixel.
finished.
It was about the same time Bronies and main chat came to a delightful realization. We were doing well enough that we could actually build the runner-up to the pole. Time was short, we had to move fast though, so main chat got straight to work on the crystal mural. Pinkie Pie was abandoned as Bronies focused on the mural, but its construction would be interrupted by the biggest obstacle Bronies had faced yet, Yes, you heard me right. Things got worse than day one.
Come on over here. We need to get rid of all of this.
There he is.
We're gonna delete, make the entire thing black. Make the entire fucking
He actually
thing
had a lot
black.
more than
Like,
60,000.
Get rid of
Maybe later
Fluttershy, get rid of
it'll,
Sparkle Pony,
it'll
delete
update,
them.
but still.
All right, I don't want to see him. Get them out of here. Thank fucking God. That's right. Why? Because we can. That's why.
Bronies came under attack by yet another Twitch bully, except this one had almost double the number of views. This nuke was even more devastating, because rather than just black us out and leave it at that, the streamer went on to hijack our ally, Berserk.
Yeah, we're ruining the Brony artwork. Absolutely. Yeah, it got yeeted and deleted.
The memorial to their late author, which Bronies had helped build, was commandeered by someone with no knowledge and no consideration of r/place diplomacy.
You can live your life the way you want to live your life, and you can go clopping all day long, just not next to Miura, not next to Berserk.
It was disheartening to know that a Twitch bully could simply roll up, point to something that had taken hours if not days to build, and then destroy it in seconds.
We helped you guys build the Miura more. What do you mean help them build it? It's not even that big. It's just like right here, help them build it? How much time do you think this took? This took like 30 minutes maybe, like...
Bronies frantically attempted to contact the newly hijacked community. The core members there were sympathetic to us, but ultimately the streamer had rallied his viewers to construct new art of the Berserk character Guts right on top of us.
Keep up the Guts picture, you're doing great. All right, let's read some of the comments here.
Much like the Ukraine flag battle, any attempt to reclaim our territory was viewed as an attack on that art, and only served to further damage our faltering alliance. The main chat mods tell me they worked very hard to talk to Berserk leaders, and the diplomats from that group went above and beyond in trying to mediate, but the Twitch viewers simply wouldn't budge. They had little interest in working with Bronies, and Bronies had little interest in going to war. We couldn't defend against 60,000 Twitch viewers even if we wanted to. As if disrespecting a memorial by hijacking one small community to bully another wasn't bad enough, the streamer also attacked our new mural art, which was just barely completed before all this happened.
You pick a different spot, the Asgard's community won't override it. They hate that you're taking a spot next to Miura's place. I'm just asking for a peaceful relocation, but you have to go be weird at a corner somewhere else.
Yeah, and then you still follow.
We're not gonna go on a crusade against the Bronies, okay? And if you guys vote, we will black it out. We'll completely black it out right there. It's war. It's like they're just getting destroyed. I love eradicating communities. Haha, yeah, true. Jesus, guys. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, now, are we the bad guys here?
Are we the baddies?
Yeah.
Brony morale once again took a big hit, except this time we also faced the whiplash of having such a strong presence one moment only to be completely wiped out the next. Bronies held on to Dashy's elbow for many hours in hope of restoring our alliance with Berserk, but unfortunately that would not come to pass. We had lost Salute Dashy's hard-fought territory. Feeling hurt and frustrated, Bronies held on to the G5 crystal during multiple attacks. First, a giant pear. Yeah. Then later, the other Twitch bully from day one returned, and at least tried to be somewhat creative with their attack. Okay, maybe creative isn't the right word. But soon, these attacks became repetitive and boring to recap in hindsight.
What's going on out there? Never mind, they're gone. Never mind, they're gone.
So, let's dive even deeper into this deep dive and explore an interesting subplot. But first, bots. By this point, the overlay script had been updated with an auto-clicker. That's right, Bronies were utilizing the boogeyman despised by streamer bullies. Many of these streamers mocked art communities for taking a game about pixels too seriously one moment, then they whined and complained about how bots aren't in the spirit of the event the next. I hope the irony of that isn't lost on anyone. Auto-clickers, or bots, have always been a part of r/plays culture. They take considerable effort to create and maintain. The primary use of bots is to defend elaborate art, especially by smaller communities, which is what r/plays is all about.
Bot usage is the only way we can fight back against.
And it still plays the rules of you have only 5 minutes to do so, so that's fair.
For aggression. We will only use bots
cheating or
to defend our
it's not
place
even,
on the board.
I'm not going to say it's cheating because it's not a game.
Really care.
It's an art project.
I think it's,
that's the problem here. They thought it was a game.
Because you have a streamer that has like we had like 100,000 people overwriting their stuff. There was no way they could win. They had to cheat.
If you pause and read some of these screenshots from 2017, you'll see that even Reddit themselves weren't against bots. However, one of the rules of r/place was add tiles to add to a community experience, not to subtract from it. So clearly, using an auto-clicker isn't cheating, but commanding tens of thousands of viewers to destroy art very much is.
I mean, I knew MLP was botting. God, and people wonder why the Bronies get so much shit. They can't even just like play a game normally.
We'll talk more about the Brony bots in detail later.
Critical was
but for
based.
now, let's get back to that subplot I wanted to mention. During one of the many attacks on the G5 crystal, a Canadian university built their logo where Sunny's head was being fought for. Fresh off the incident with Berserk, Bronies knew the establishment of any other art in our territory could spell disaster if we weren't able to make peace with them. Naturally, there was some initial confusion, but ultimately, Bronies chose the peaceful route yet again by adopting Queen's University into our own art template and by moving the G5 crystal to make room for it. I thought this was a nice subplot worth mentioning, because shifting artwork as detailed as the mural is no easy feat for a small community, and in territory as highly contested as this, all the while under attack from tens of thousands of griefers. However, thanks to our use of tools, such as the bots, Bronies were able to make it happen very quickly. This is one of many examples of bots being used to promote peace on r/place. We may have had to go to war with Queen's University in order to reclaim our territory. Instead, we gained another close ally and friend. As the streamer bullies either went offline or became bored with us, Bronies once again had a chance to get back on their feet and work on both restoring our art and forming more alliances. Some of our allies at this point included Rainbow Road, Transplace, Math, Deltarune, and even Parahumans, which was another ally from the 2017 event. By now, Bronies had already unveiled their Manhattan project, the Bot Overlay Combination Script. Any member of the herd with a compatible browser could install an extension to show this minimap. They could also use it to pick the correct color of a given pixel automatically. As mentioned before, they could even enable an intelligent auto-clicker which was optimized to prioritize segments of our artwork. It was specifically designed to help rebuild after a Twitch raid. It's also worth mentioning that this bot overlay combo included our countless allies in the template, so while pony art was standing strong, our forces would automatically be defending allies and neighbors. However, as the war between pixel art and Twitch bullies raged on, little did the Bronies know that even more powerful enemies and even more powerful weapons were on the horizon.
The guy that
Soon we will see an enemy so powerful that even Reddit themselves would have to intervene, and a weapon so powerful that maybe Bronies wouldn't have to be the underdogs for much longer. All that and more awaits us on day 3. We begin the day with good news. Our longtime ally, Tiny Taurus, joins us at the new location. Also, after a whole day of negotiations, the trans flag community finally agrees to allow Art of Trixie. She and the flag itself often come under attack from vandalism, but it proves to be a powerful alliance with Bronies helping the flag and the flag helping Bronies.
Is that actually a pony? It's like a Pokemon or something. I have no idea. It's so abstract, I'm not even sure.
Getting our ponies other places did help protect. Like, the streamer still looked at it, but he's like, I don't really want to mess with the trans community. Sounds like a bad idea.
A few minutes later, negotiations also went through to rebuild Salute Dashi on a different trans flag. However, there was a problem. This trans flag wasn't actually under the control of the community Bronies had been negotiating with. It was, in fact, a Twitch streamer's territory. They were apparently using the flag as a placeholder while offline. It was all a confusing mess, because Bronies thought they had permission to build there. Meanwhile, the Twitch streamers community saw it as an attack. Once the truth about the territory was revealed, Dashi's plans were quickly cancelled, and Bronies helped to restore the flag. Bronies hadn't given up on Salute Dashi, but the canvas was getting crowded, and it was looking less and less likely we'd have another opportunity. Not unless something very drastic were to happen. Suddenly, we had a new problem to contend with. Bronies, along with countless other small communities, were hit hard by what was described as a purple void. However, it's probably unfair to compare streamer griefing to the actual void, as the void's destructive goals were downright noble compared to some of these streamers. I think it would make a lot more sense for us to refer to this as the Smooth Attack.
Right.
The attack lasted about 2 hours, but thanks to the now heavily battle-tested defensive bots and our strong alliances with neighbors, the crystal mural was able to recover.
This is XQC coming in here, and this is terrible for morale. There's no focus, we're just kind of flailing around here. At some point, I take manual control of the template and say, no, we are focusing everything we've got on the central crystal.
Full power to the crystal. And
the Earth Ponies.
And this comes through. And this is terrible for the streamers' morale because they're putting everything they got, and we're like, nah.
The streamer, powerlessly shouted at their creation to fight on their behalf. Meanwhile, the Smooze was defeated by magical ponies. I guess something can stop the Smooze after all.
Nothing can stop the Smooze!
It was during the attack of the Smooze that the Russian Bronies began to wake up and form their own plans. Derpy was destroyed along with Salute Dashi during the Berserk hijacking, but MLPP had a controversial plan to bring her back. While most people were distracted by the Smooze, MLPP began constructing Derpy on the far right side of the canvas. The source of the controversy was the fact Derpy took territory from a couple small factions. The other Bronies, especially those in main chat, were horrified at the thought of pony art taking territory from others. But, as mentioned, everyone was a little too busy to make a big deal of it at this point. Derpy was completed without much resistance, but the larger Earthbound faction to her north was not happy to watch their neighbors get bulldozed. This would mark the beginning of ongoing disputes between Derpy and Earthbound. Of course, Derpy was led by the MLPP group, many of which didn't even speak English. Earthbound would attempt diplomacy with Bronies, only to discover that we had about as little communication as they did. Relationships were further strained during one particular incident. One random individual took it upon themselves to negotiate with Earthbound on behalf of the Derpy art. This individual seemingly had no idea that Derpy wasn't under our control, and probably thought they were helping, when in fact their involvement caused quite a diplomatic nightmare.
Yeah,
they reached out to offer territory to Earthbound, and Earthbound happily agreed and began to take it. And only then did Earthbound learn that MLPP never had any intention of giving up that territory. Some members of the Earthbound group saw this as a betrayal by the Bronies, and one even speculated that it was some kind of false flag operation to give MLPP an excuse to invade Earthbound. The truth, of course, is far less dramatic. MLPP may have built on top of a few smaller groups, but most of the territory disputed with Earthbound was contested due to the ongoing Twitch raids. Derpy would be blacked out, Earthbound would attempt to claim the territory, and it would obviously be perceived as an act of aggression when Derpy finally recovered. All in all, it was one of many complicated situations with a lot of factors, and just goes to show how messy diplomacy on r/plays can get. Skipping backward a little now, it was not long after the Smooth attack that a new, unexpected alliance was formed. Up until this point, streamers were generally thought of as the enemy of r/plays, but there were in fact many streamers who respected the spirit of the event and wanted to contribute. Michael McChill was one streamer in particular who allied with Bronies and constructed their pixel art next to ours.
We have allied with the Bronies. We have allied with the Bronies in Rainbow Road, and we are fucking like sitting here and we're hanging out with them.
This is probably a good time to point out the duality of Twitch streamers. Even some of the largest streamers on Twitch showed consideration for smaller communities, despite having the power to wipe out anyone they wanted to.
I'm okay with that, right? We can just like concentrate in this little spot. I don't need more than one cube, okay?
Meanwhile, other streamers, even if they had no interest in attacking Bronies specifically, still bullied other small communities for the entertainment of their viewers.
Surely Colts fans are way too old to understand how to use bots, right? This is actually probably maintained by individuals. Rest in peace, Colts. Our Colts went from 22 active to 1,800. Yeah, I can't look at that, man. I just feel bad. I don't want to look at it.
The idea of good streamers and bad streamers certainly played into Reddit's social experiment angle, that's for sure.
Look! My Little Pony lives! I love this. They have all the new ones, and then they have the old ones. This is so cute. Dude, look, there's another one. They're thriving.
It's nice to see that there are some nicer ones, some nicer Twitch
Speaking of streamers, they built a cockatiel over the mural and nuked all ponies from the canvas yet again.
There we go. Go, 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 go. Nice, nice, nice.
Okay, defend. Away with that guy.
Okay, I don't know who that guy is.
We can hold this. He's not as big as the other ones. He might make it. Okay. It's not looking too good. It's not looking too good.
Fuck you. That's what you get, bitch.
There's no fighting it now. The big streamer has joined in.
They've got the bots going, I guess. Delete all this. Turn all of it yellow.
The mural, Trans Trixie, and Derpy were all obliterated.
Derpy is returning from the white ashes. She lives. Don't give up on Derpy. Delete Derpy. I really do hope to see the Rainbow Dash in the final art. And you will not. You will not.
Of course, you've heard this story before. It's the same every time.
This is too much. The Bronies are attacking. I have held back. Okay? I have not attacked the Bronies or done anything like that. I did not delete any of their stuff.
Yes, he has.
Delete all this. Delete Derpy. I have been the most fair and most reasonable person here.
He's so full of shit.
Oh, you were serious?
He would frequently perform mock negotiations with Bronies, pretending to make deals, pretending to offer mercy, basically pretending we're all just participants in this grand battle with him. When in fact, Mainshot had banned discussion of streamers long ago. The way Brony saw it, we had no interest in negotiating with terrorists. Bronies were focused on diplomacy with our friends and defending our territory.
We could replace the Turkish guy with Rainbow Dash, and then it would make the Turks mad at the Bronies.
We had no interest in playing along with some streamer's narrative. We just wanted to be left alone. A war raged against Derpy. Yet another Twitch bully was attempting to grief her, this time by drawing a penis over her. But even as Derpy was being nuked, the vandalism was strongly resisted. How was MLPP managing to go up against a large streamer? What was their secret? 4chan's MLP certainly helped, but the true answer was, make friends with another streamer. Branish Kinov is a Russian streamer with past ties to MLPP from events on Russian social media. This wasn't their first rodeo. My discussion with a couple people from MLPP more or less suggests they only had one contact who knew the streamer, so they didn't work closely, but one way or another,
but he did kind of go over the Dream Theater logo.
About 30,000 viewers to help defend pony artworks.
Чё случилось, блядь?
Вот это жестко идем.
Он орёт, кто это делает, блядь?
The bully streamer attempting to draw penis had closer to 10,000 viewers. For comparison, the total number of bronies was probably only 1,000 or 2,000 by now. Maybe more if you count the ones bending rules by making multiple accounts. Reddit allowing new accounts to participate this time is a whole other controversy, but it enabled unfair attacks about as much as it enabled unfair defenses, so it more or less evened out. Anyway, bronies finally had an upper hand over a griefer, but it was largely thanks to happenstance.
Bird is dead, and this is the person who did that. This is the first big streamer that is now officially completely helping it. Yes! This is so good to see.
Unfortunately, fighting fire with more fire would probably come back to bite us on our flank later on. Asmongold's attacks were also occurring in full force around this time.
Black this bitch out. Black the entire thing out. Nuke it. Delete the entire fucking thing. They thought they could hide.
I like how the other
they
side
can't.
When he
chose
also
not
attacked
to
Drippy, it caught the Russian streamer's attention.
censor it
Although
anymore.
Brenishkinov's pixel battle experience and tens of thousands of viewers could not fight off Asmongold's 90,000 viewers, it certainly helped. Thanks to Brony persistence and our refusal to lay down and be bullied willingly, various outsiders took notice.
Right now we're trying to defend the MLP arts. Awesome. Okay, this is good news. Thank you for sharing that. We are building alliances left, right, and center. We are all about friendship. We just want to put ponies on the board. His chat seems more motivated than ever, though. That's the scary part. But we are making friends.
Bronies weren't exactly happy to be bullied by Asmongold, but his dramatization of our battles certainly got a lot of attention, and he made Bronies more or less famous as underdogs.
Bro, I feel, what are we, Xerxes' army and we're losing to the Spartans? In what weird fucking change of events and fucking weird reality are the Bronies the 300 Spartans?
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die! And these shields, boys!
I mean, as much as I wish we didn't have to deal with streamer raids, he does have a good point. Everyone loves an underdog story, and these underdogs are about to be given another major opportunity.
I'm refreshing right now. Guys?
Yeah, it's loading.
Oh my god, it's 2! We will give you the coordinates.
I kind of figured that was going to happen too, because like having this one long rectangle kind of look weird.
Get your pixels ready. We might be expanding.
This brings the total size to 4 times that of the 2017 event. Reddit also updated the color palette with even more options to choose from. The attacks from multiple streamers were still ongoing, but Bronies knew we couldn't pass up the chance to peacefully claim new territory in what would be the final expansion. What pony art could be better than the proud return of Salute Dashi? After all she's been through, we are more prepared than ever to maintain her salute to the very end.
Okay, so this is my life for 30 hours. Discord on this screen, Discord on that screen, on a different computer, the Our Place canvas front and center, and then the Photoshop template on a Wacom tablet. Just this for 30 hours, and so much coffee. So much coffee.
With our overlay tool, our allies, and our bots, Dashi was rapidly deployed to the southeast. However, before we could even get our halfway done, the bully found us and nuked us. By this point, main chat was inundated with spies from the Twitch stream, so any organized plan was quickly conveyed to the griefers. Bronies pivoted the template and started building Dashi further west. This worked for a few minutes as the streamer was occupied with the eastern Dashi, but it didn't take long for this new Dashi to also become nuked.
So I don't know if that's supposed to be George Harrison or Frank Zappa or someone else.
Dashi. Yes, he's nuking the old Dashi, guys! Yes! This was brilliant! Psychological warfare happening right here! He threatened an attack, and within 5 minutes, we completely moved the design to a new location! We have moved Rainbow Dash to this position and started rebuilding. They are attacking the wrong place. It's staying black. None of us are creating new pixels. They think they have somehow won.
We had to rely on our one tried and true strategy.
He's a bit too excited based on that.
But we're gonna get back up again.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna bring me down.
And again.
Bronies gained momentum every time the streamer was distracted by other things.
I honestly cannot believe this is happening. Look at the Brony thing. Like, it's actually perfect. I can't believe this, that they've done this. Like we can't focus. Oh, purple for Twitch. Oh, that would be a really good...
Then Asmongold went offline and tweeted this. It was around this time we first developed a new tactic. Subtle pony art, which we could silently construct and not draw attention to. The Equestria flag was the first example of this. As the final day approached, hiding small, unnoticeable pony art could be our last hope of surviving to the end.
Maybe we had lots of Twilights everywhere.
Things were looking good for Bronies. With Asmongold stepping away from griefing, could Bronies finally hope to shine as bright as... Then the meteor hit.
Yeah!
The meteor, which did in fact begin as a rock, despite what it later turned into,
Guys, directly to the left of the Vanguard Arts. Make a big brown fucking rock.
was yet another example of a temporary passing grade.
We gradually make the rock go forward
this is
and
the wrong
land on
side,
the Bronies,
but
and
like,
then boom, it would have a big ass crater.
Don't go farther. Don't go farther. Don't go farther.
It was
This
still
is
pretty
really
funny.
looking like shit. We need more red pixels. We're gonna shit on the Bronies. Make it more poop. There's too much red.
Not enough. Too much. Not enough.
They're getting on the Bronies. You did not listen.
I wonder if this is age restricted.
Okay. You did this. You did this.
I did not do this.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm closing my own drawing. There's no point anymore. Yes, it's just weird now. It was the Bronies' plan all along to get them on. They did it on purpose.
Chat, the Bronies are gonna rebuild. There's nothing we can do. They just keep going. Everyone fucks with them and they just keep. It's been 10 years, chat.
It's been 10 years, chat.
It also marked a period of time where the streamers were going to bed for the night, so Bronies largely stood strong after this point.
And you know what happened after that meteor that went through all these communities? They all rebuilt, and every single one of them now has
Critical
a
is
story about how they
just
survived the
something,
meteor.
something about his
all of us
energy.
American
Just
Bronies with
it
horrific
sits
PTSD
so
from this
well.
event. Meanwhile, our Brony friends across the world were left cleaning up our mess. I think that's a funny thought. The new Salute Dashie, Derpy, and the Crystal Mural all stood proudly that night.
Together forever.
At this point, Bronies knew it was just a matter of chance whether or not would have a pony survive to the end. Reddit had recently announced that the end of the event would be a surprise, so just like in 2017, no one knew when to rally the troops to attack or to defend. But none of us had any way of knowing that the end of the event would be a whole
If I can
different
remember,
kind of
I'll share
surprise.
my picture
With
of
ponies
my
standing strong and the end of the
of my
event just
whole
around the
thing
corner,
with,
Bronies worked to develop a defensive weapon more powerful than anything
our
before.
space.
If the
My whole
browser
setup.
extension was the Bronies' Manhattan project, then the next bot was truly the orbital friendship cannon.
That
a
is, if I
relatively
can
small
remember
number of
where
Bronies began rolling out headless bots.
Yeah, that
Bots
is if I
far
can
more
access
powerful
it.
than the JavaScript extension running on people's local computers. No, these headless bots could run in the cloud. One bot operator could have the power of dozens, perhaps even hundreds of pixels all to themselves. Was it cheating? Oh, definitely. Yeah. Reddit had nothing against bots clicking on behalf of individuals, but spinning up dozens of alternative accounts, clicking away at pixels headlessly in the cloud, yeah, that's gonna be a ban for sure. Bronies had to carefully manage this ultimate weapon and only deploy it when necessary. In other words, we wanted to be as ready as possible for the next Twitch bully. We had only two goals: be a friendly faction of peace, and have at least one pony survive to the end. The latter was always going to be a challenge, but little did we know, maintaining that peaceful status may prove to be the greater feat.
Oh yeah, the Star Wars
that
one
seemingly
is
simple
pretty
goal
awesome.
would be threatened the very next day. In the earliest hours of day 4, XQC would pivot from harassing as many small communities as possible to targeting Salute Dashie with his own attempt at art.
Next on lemon, I think, is all garbanzo. Alright, boys, black it out. All the way to black. Listen. How about you stop it your fuck to actual weird children's drawings of humanized ponies, you fucking degenerate. And you go get a piece of sunlight, touch some grass,
I don't know if he said that right,
come back
but
to the internet
alright.
and make something productive in your life, you fucking degenerate fuck. What is your problem?
What's his problem?
But by this point, Bronies were less and less fearful of raids, and even had the confidence to openly mock the streamer for his terrible art.
Guys, it looks good. It looks good. Guys, we're waiting for wave 2.
Oh yeah,
chat.
all the
Guys,
Among
wave
all the
1 did
Among
most of the
Us.
work. Wave 2 will fix it up.
It's a good example of the difference between a passionate community which spends days developing their pixel art, and a streamer who pulls up an image on a whim and barks at their viewers to make it happen. It looks bad. Hilariously bad.
More unified, more shape-like, more shadowing, more face, more... We have fucking NASA engineers, dude, from fucking top-tier universities out there, doing every pixel right. The standard deviation of the angle over here is not quite right with this. Like, holy and now we're doing... Naruto! Is it Naruto?
How does
Fix up
he
the
have
face,
the
man.
most
Guys,
viewers
fix up the
and
face, please.
still have
Guys,
the worst
come
art?
on.
Laughing at this art further rallied Bronies to take back our territory once again. Since Bronies were able to rebuild relatively quickly by this point, much of our focus, once again, went to working with neighbors and allies. We were finally starting to be looked upon as a protective ally, rather than a burden nobody wanted to be neighbors with.
Destroy the Bronies. No, the Bronies are strong. The Bronies are very strong.
It's true.
We had ponies spread across the canvas, but most of our template was dedicated to allies and friends. Okay, this is the point where I was planning to go over what I like to call the booty bands.
Oh.
Chat, if you have a pixel ready, do not use it yet. We're gonna go crazy right here.
Dude, it's gonna look absolutely fantabulous.
I wanted to point out how Reddit was starting to take action against griefers, namely by censoring his attempt to draw a butt and later banning participants of his raids.
I don't see the ass though. What just happened?
They censored it. Wait, they censored it!
This video is already getting really long, and we have lots of important pony matters to cover. So let's just say Reddit wasn't happy about those stream bullies either.
Yep.
Some of those participating in raids were getting banned, and this was a good thing for all art, including bronies.
Guys, there's no shot you guys are getting banned. There's no fucking shot. Guys, there's no shot you're getting banned, right? I'm making a poll. Guys, we don't have enough manpower. Everybody's banned. Guys, I really hope that tomorrow people are unbanned so we can actually do something.
And yes, in case you were wondering, bronies were indeed getting banned for botting. Some streamers were salty about their viewers being banned for raids, and they would complain that bots weren't getting banned, but they were. The difference is simple. Bronies didn't whine and complain about it like the streamers did.
I am not
whining. I am complaining.
Okay, moving on to those
Words
important
I
pony matters.
live
The last
by.
day of the event would bring more big surprises, but for the moment, bronies were doing really well. In fact, lots of smaller pony artworks have appeared by now, so let's do a quick lightning round.
Yes.
The MLP board on 4chan leaves a rude meme below Dashy, which later becomes the most favorable "The Ride Never Ends" slogan.
Okay.
A new counter is added below Pip
If you
to
know,
count
you
the number
know.
of times pony art has been wiped out by Twitch bullies. Yep, bronies were actually that brazen by this point. We've seen it all and fear no one.
Kind of a taunt, but it was number of times we had been wiped.
Oh, this is funny. We're getting raided so many times, but like it doesn't matter to us.
Dashy gets a tongue and starts to blep repeatedly. Along with the constant battle for her unibrow, they make for a funny time-lapse. It even inspired this fan art. Along with the rainbow background, Dashy is also joined by an Eye of Horus symbol.
YOLO.
It's from our ally, Armored Core, representing the white glint emblem. Armored Core is
Also,
another faction who has been through a lot and probably deserves their own video. The original Egyptian
Parsons
symbol
Project.
represents protection and good health, which Dashy could definitely benefit from. Hours earlier, Discord appeared in the void. For those who don't know,
forget where this
Discord
went.
is the spirit of chaos, so he was a nice fit next to the
just hold
incredibly
on.
unique and terrifying void monster.
I have
Yet
these
another Brony group
organized,
got
so I
involved,
can't
this time
take
a
them out
community
without
behind
knowing
the
where I
Hearts of
put them
Iron
back.
Pony mod. They constructed the Lunar Empire banner. A small circle of friends built this pony OC named Big Toe.
Maybe that's May,
Some bronies work on a Starlight Glimmer equal sign. If a streamer were to wipe us out at the last moment, they should have no idea this was pony related. 4chan makes this adorable little Anon filly. I have no
Anon
idea
filly.
how compatible my Anon filly is with my green screen, but it's yet another pony
Yeah.
from place I happen to have in plush form. And you didn't think I'd find a way to talk about plushies in a video. BerryTube, yet another brony subcommunity, returns from the 2017 event and builds their logo next to Dashy. It was accidentally built on top of Perry the Platypus, so they later adopted him as their own.
Okay.
A sleeping Octavia finds a home in the famous r/place taskbar.
Yes,
She
that
later
one is one of my
befriends the two-set
favorites.
music
It's so
community.
it's so
great
cute.
and powerful was an iconic brony musician who garnered their own fan community.
Oh.
That's a whole other rabbit hole which could and does have its own documentary. Anyway, they have this nice little presence on the canvas. A sneaky Twilight and later a sneaky Starlight hide at opposite ends
Yep.
of the canvas as part of a tactic to preserve Pony to the very end. If our main art gets wiped out, hopefully at least one of these two would survive. They were led by small brony groups organized away from the spies in main chat. And of course, there were countless pixel ponies hidden everywhere. We didn't have as many as the Among Us folks had, but it's still worth mentioning. By now, there was so much going on that it's almost impossible to cover it all. Each of the smaller pony arts I just mentioned had their own neighbors, their own goals, their own dedicated groups, and their own challenges to face.
And eventually Anon Philly and the Zodiac intersect. So finally we're just like, give us your template, and then we just like move them to not conflict with our art.
But soon, all bronies were faced with yet another unexpected challenge. A whole different derpy was being built directly on top of many smaller communities. This new derpy, this mega derpy, was built very quickly. However, the moment she touched a streamer's territory, she was gone. Mega Titan Derpy appeared and disappeared very quickly,
Yeah.
but those who noticed her became worried that an aggressive pony taking territory from small communities
And I'm
was a
wor-
very bad
and,
look for bronies. So much effort and so
me
many
personally, I
sacrifices
was-
were made
I
in
wasn't
the
a
name
fan of,
peace
like, the
and
big
friendship.
derpy. I mean,
Diplomats were dispatched to the
kinda
Russian
didn't look
bronies,
right
and
eye-
certainly would agree
anyways,
to
but
remain
it's like-
peaceful. Later, after some other developments, which we'll get to soon, Mega Titan Giga Kaiju Derpy resurfaced.
Right there, of the Dream
This time
Theater
she
logo.
took territory above our Equestria flag, which made her appear even more as our doing.
Right away.
There was no streamer to fight her. She successfully bulldozed over a dozen small communities. Panic spread throughout the various brony groups. Bronies and non-bronies alike joined main chat to voice displeasure and accuse bronies of being too aggressive and too greedy. Members of main chat frantically
But that
assured
wasn't
people
us.
that we
That
weren't
was,
behind this derpy. Not only
the
were
other
bronies
streamer.
upset that this derpy
The
was
Russian-
going
yeah, the
against
Russian
everything
guy.
we stood for, but she was even in conflict with our own Equestria War community. Were bronies about to enter a civil war with our long-standing allies, the Russian bronies? There was some talk of going on the offensive, to attack Derpy as a sign of support for all the communities she destroyed. After all, we might not be able to recover from the diplomatic fallout of this event if our allies turned against us. For those watching who aren't bronies, this pony is basically a mascot of the brony community.
You already
She's
said
sort
that.
of the default best pony. For her to become an enemy of sorts is absolutely insane. Despite the language barrier, I was able to contact a couple people from the Russian MLPP group. Mega Titan Giga Kaiju Derpyzilla wasn't their doing at all. That's right, the Russian bronies weren't behind this derpy for whom I'm
Oh.
running out of adjectives.
Maybe not.
According to one of the
Okay.
leaders I spoke with, MLPP had just one contact with Bradish Knopf. That contact apparently went rogue, and MLPP were not able to stop the streamer from building this
Oh,
derpy.
yeah, so it
there
was
you
him,
have it.
yeah.
Bradish Knopf was behind Derpy, Destroyer of Worlds.
Just don't know what went wrong.
Main Chat's official stance was neutrality, so at the very least, most bronies aware of the situation and refused to support this derpy. Not that she needed it, with the streamer's tens of thousands of viewers. It's kind of funny how other groups were mistakenly mad at us, and we were mistakenly mad at MLPP, and MLPP was probably rightfully mad at their rogue contact. That's place politics for you. Thankfully, this was the final day, and Mega Titan Giga Kaiju Ultra Derpyzilla would not have enough time to pose a major threat to Bronydom. If anything, she served as a tank to absorb attention away from our actual pony art. Speaking of drawing attention away from ponies, streamers regularly found themselves at war with each other. When bullying small communities became boring, streamers would turn on each other for excitement. Two such streamers in particular more or less engaged in a brony proxy war, and the interesting part is, at least one of them probably didn't even know it. You see, bronies had countless alliances across the canvas. Some alliances were mere non-aggression pacts, while other locations were actively defended by bronies.
So that's the beautiful part about our community, guys. Even though Dashi is not looking perfect right now, there's a lot of missing pixels, we have decided to prioritize defending one of our friends. That's what this community is all about. We create friendships, we expand those friendships, we work together with other people.
In honor of
And
Mako.
you can see there's some fighting back happening against a big streamer.
This manga community here was one such brony ally, and their location became the site of one of many streamer wars. It was Mizkif versus Bradish Knopf.
Oh, yeah.
The first big anti-brony bully versus the pro-pony streamer. I thought this proxy war was a funny one to mention, because Mizkif was very outspoken about bronies, and seemed to have more or less moved on from bullying us at this point.
I just heard news that the bronies will help us if we declare peace. Oh my god.
Okay, yes, please, accept it.
We accept bronies. All right, look, I'm not a fan of the furries, but the bronies
Then
we accept.
he went
Please help us out,
against
bronies.
that anyways.
One of the most base streamers I know named Asmongold once said today, the bronies have won the war. If we attack the bronies nonstop, they'll just keep rebuilding. It's whack-a-mole with the bronies, man.
He was still fighting bronies whether he knew it or not. He simply couldn't escape us.
So he's like, well, we'll leave the bronies alone. Well, actually, right now, we were totally established. We were at like 100%. And so we're like, sure, we'll go help. This is the Kaguya and anime friends. And so he's like in the middle of fighting us during this.
All in all, vandalism is common, but bronies hold on very well. Our diplomacy, our sub-factions, our allies, and our bots were more diverse and stronger than ever.
We haven't really had any problems today. These streamers, man, these streamers are... I never knew there were so many crybabies on Twitch. You know what I mean?
Most of the streamers which posed a threat to us were distracted by
Oh,
their
that's
own
Jay
disputes,
Hodder,
especially
right.
with whatever was going on with France. Yeah, apparently France had claimed this absolutely massive section of territory.
They had
and that made them a big target.
lot of
The
bots.
goings-on of other r/place factions is simply too broad for me to cover in detail here. For now, just know that ponies are doing well, but we're on guard for an attack at any moment.
So at this point, we're actually doing pretty well. We've got very established board presence. We're holding territory. We're helping allies. Things are great.
Then, it happened. It wasn't an attack, but another major Reddit update. After expanding the color palette
The white.
twice, Reddit updated the colors once again. There was only one color to pick from. There was only white.
And then our automation goes crazy. It starts blasting out errors. This is terrifying. We have no idea what's going on.
Reddit was letting us end r/plays on our own terms. Rather than close the event like they did in 2017, they would wait for its millions of participants to restore it to how it was in the very beginning. A blank white canvas. Yep.
So now all you can do is just erase your own artwork.
No errors.
That's great. Actually, that's a great idea.
French flag is slowly forming the surrender flag. The French flag of surrender.
But before anyone has a chance to process the symbolic and emotional implications of this ending, the bots!
Disable all the bots. Disable all your bots right now. Disable all the bots. Apparently...
Stop the bots!
Our worst fears seemed to be coming true as pony art quickly became white, faster than anyone around us. Well, other than France.
Mizkif also
Would we end the event in shame, destroyed by our own weapons?
Because like once
No,
he saw that
actually,
happening, he
none
added
of the
one.
brony bots contributed to our whiteout. The
Yep.
reason for our rapid demise was far simpler than that.
The bots just basically broke. If they were trying to place white before, they could still place white, but everything else just errored. When Osu's main logo gets whited out very quickly, when France in the bottom left-hand corner immediately turns white, that is all manual placement.
All right, wait, let's attack the bronies! Attack
This
the
is
bronies!
why.
Bronies! Yes! We beat the Bronies!
No, you didn't.
Wow, you only beat us because you could only do it this way. This is the only way you could beat us, bro. Small dick energy the whole time.
Small dick energy. Amen.
It's safe to say Bronies were victorious on two different fronts. Not only were ponies holding strong up until the Great Whiteout, but our hidden ponies successfully survived during much of the Whiteout. There's a couple more really cool things I want to share with you. But first, let's recap. As the entirety of r/place
I keep waiting for him to say, like, first, a word from our sponsor.
Bronies reflected upon their accomplishments. From our humble, naive beginnings, to fighting for just one pony's survival, to defending against hundreds of thousands of griefers, to the inner conflict Bronies faced as a community, to the development of strategies and intricate defensive weapons, to finally finishing the event with more of a pony presence than we could have ever imagined. Bronies celebrated their victory with lots of laughter, crying, and from what I heard, there was even singing as r/plays concluded in the most cathartic way possible. A flash mob was formed on Ponytown.
Yep.
XQC's mispronunciation of Brony became a fandom meme.
Guys, we sang together, we laughed together, it was amazing.
Everybody steal the muffins from the picnic to our right.
Oh.
Thank you, and I'm very happy I...
Yo, is that me? That's me right there. Hold up. Oh, man. I can see me. I'm flying.
It's awesome to see this community thriving and all.
That's my, right there. It's actually zooming in on me right there.
You can still
That
be
was me.
seen when
I
you
was in
average
the
the event
video.
together,
Hey.
as if her glorious return
Let's
during the
go.
final expansion wasn't enough. By my count, more than 20 pony locations survived to the end. Compare that to some of our lowest moments when it seemed unlikely we'd have a single pony survive. Here's a really cool fun fact. The top pixel placer, out of the millions of people who participated, was a Brony. It wasn't just any random Brony though. It was Sigmith Bits, the person who first made Salute Dashy's art. How cool is that? They didn't even give in to the temptation to use alternate accounts. Truly a hero of the Brony faction. Another quick story.
Okay, that's something I
One
didn't
random
know, and
Brony a
I'm
couple of
glad I
friends
know
who,
that. So,
mind you, weren't even
congratulations.
working with the broader Bronies,
whatever.
was so
Forgot the
passionate
name,
about
sorry.
keeping their Pixel OC alive that they managed to hold the original territory to the very end. Territory which was completely abandoned by the broader community. Yet we can say, technically, Bronies held a presence here, beginning to end, thanks to that one dedicated individual and their Pixel Pony OC. r/place is an example of communities of people coming together to work on something great. But I really like that we also have stories showing just how much a single
Sigmath,
individual
okay.
can accomplish.
Oh, say,
Can
you see on the softly cold place the fine ponies we hailed in the shadows of streamers, their bright manes and kind eyes, haters could not replace. It was Derby and Dash who became our redeemer.
I'll have to find it. Hold up.
And the crystal's pure light shining on through the night. Main 6 and main 5 rose to set Reddit right.
I like this, by the way. I'm listening.
Does a true pony banner yet wave o'er the friendship of the free and the fandom so brave?
r/Plays 2022 was an incredible
Wonderful.
journey that I'm proud to have been part of. Thank you to all the
Me
people who
too.
went out of their way to share information with me to make this video happen. If you enjoyed
Where
this
did it
deep dive,
go?
consider subscribing and consider
show
checking
you
out
what
my
I'm
other
looking
videos,
for.
such as the video from 2017's event. Whether you were
Yep.
on the front lines defending Pony or fighting for some other faction entirely, I'd love to hear your r/Plays stories in the comments below. I expect to see some amazing stuff down there. Thanks for watching.
Nice. Let's see what you did there. All right. Now, one moment. I found it. Okay. I got this. When did I get this? It was like in 2016, I think. So this is before r/place and all of that. But yeah, this is not related really, but it's the same design, right? Oh, it might be flipped for you guys. I don't know. I forget how I'm flipping this. I think that'll look right for you when it's camera's flipped. But yeah. Just thought I'd show that. Okay, yeah, that was a very, very interesting and insightful video. Especially the end there. It was very nice and hopeful. and we prevailed. The Broners prevailed. He didn't mention the Broner thing. Yeah, if you don't know, the community that spawned after r/place 2021 or 20 was it 20? It was 2022. We called ourselves the Broners, and we are currently on a server, I believe called the Broners is in the title, but the reason why is because XQC mispronounced the name all the time. He kept calling us Broners, thinking that's what we were called, not Bronies. So yeah, that we kind of adopted that name. So overall, that was a very fun video, and I'm glad I got to see it. Now I gotta edit everything, and then actually I'm gonna go to bed first, and then I'll edit everything tomorrow. So hope you enjoyed the commentary. God bless you, stay safe, have a nice day, and cancer on. Bye.